The lecture hall of the Galactic Institute buzzed with the usual cacophony of translator devices converting hundreds of alien languages into comprehensible speech. Cora sat near the back, her human frame dwarfed by the towering Krillian students beside her. She absently twirled a stylus between her fingers, half listening to Professor Zelthor drone on about pre-contact civilizations. And here we have the curious case of species 7842, designation humanity, the professor announced, his crystalline form refracting the ambient light into dancing rainbows across the amphitheater walls. Cora perked up. It wasn't often her species became the subject of xenoanthropology lectures. Note the peculiar pattern in their historical records, Zelthor continued, projecting holographic data streams above the podium. Despite possessing thermonuclear capabilities for nearly 2 centuries before first contact, they never deployed these weapons after their initial use in warfare. Statistical analysis suggests this restraint is unprecedented. A ripple of chittering, clicking, and various sounds of disbelief echoed through the chamber. Beside Cora, a Vrexian student named Carthax turned 3 of his eye stalks toward her. Your kind created world-ending weapons and simply stopped using them? That makes no tactical sense. Before Cora could respond, a voice rang out from the front of the auditorium. Permission to offer perspective, Professor? Cora recognized Adam immediately. The only other human in their cohort, he had a reputation for challenging conventional xenopolitical theories. His dark eyes held that peculiar intensity that made even predator species uncomfortable. Proceed, student Adam, Zelthor gestured with a crystalline appendage. Adam stood, and something about his posture made the room fall silent. The galaxy operates under a fundamental misunderstanding about human warfare. You all assume we avoid conflict because we're weak, or perhaps evolved past aggression like the Benthari. You're wrong on both counts. A Krillian delegate hissed disapprovingly. The historical records are clear. Humanity has engaged in minimal interstellar conflicts. You've negotiated where others would have conquered. This indicates fear. Adam interrupted, and the word hung in the air like a blade. Not our fear, yours. The professor's crystalline structure flickered with colors indicating confusion. Explain yourself, student. Humans don't avoid war because we've transcended violence, Adam said, his voice carrying clearly through the sudden silence. We avoid war because we've perfected it. We know exactly what we're capable of, and that knowledge terrifies us. Cora found herself nodding. She'd never quite articulated it that way, but Adam had struck directly at something she'd always felt, that peculiar weight her species carried. Ridiculous, Carthax scoffed, his vocal sac inflating with indignation. The Vrexian Dominion has studied human military capabilities extensively. Your fleet compositions are modest, your weapon yields conservative, your territorial expansion practically non-existent. These are not the markers of a fearsome war machine. Adam smiled, and it wasn't a friendly expression. Tell me, Carthax, what would you do if you had the capacity to exterminate an entire species but knew, truly knew, the psychological cost of doing so? If you had weapons that could crack planets, but every time you considered using them, you remembered what it felt like to use them before. He pulled up his own holographic display, overlaying Zelthor's presentation. Images flickered past. Ancient Earth scarred by countless conflicts, cities reduced to rubble, fields of graves stretching to horizons. Humans spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other, Adam continued, his voice quiet now, but somehow more intense. We weaponized disease, created bombs that could vaporize cities in microseconds, developed poisons that could seep into bunkers and kill silently. We became so efficient at death that we nearly destroyed ourselves. The lecture hall had gone deathly still. Even Professor Zelthor's usual chromatic flickering had ceased. The Galactic Council thinks we're peaceful because we negotiate first and fight last, Adam said. The truth is, we negotiate because we know what comes after. We've seen what unrestricted warfare looks like. We've stood in the ashes of our own making and said never again, and actually meant it. Cora stood, her legs feeling unsteady. He's right, she said softly. When humans go to war, It's not because we want to. It's because every other option has been exhausted. And when that happens, she paused, meeting the multitude of alien eyes fixed upon her. When that happens, we don't fight to win territory or resources. We fight with the total commitment of a species that knows intimately what extinction tastes like. We fight the way something fights when it remembers being prey. But you are not prey, a small Quellen student squeaked from the middle rows. You are apex predators on your world. Exactly, Adam replied. We're predators who remember being prey to our own kind. Do you know what that creates? A species that understands both the hunger and the fear. We know what it's like to be hunted, so we avoid hunting. We know what it's like to face annihilation, so we refuse to annihilate. Professor Zelthor's form had shifted to deep purple, a color Cora had learned indicated deep contemplation in his species. You're suggesting that human restraint is not evolutionary advancement, but rather trauma response? Collective trauma, Cora confirmed. Every human child learns about the world wars, the genocides, the atrocities we committed against ourselves. It's burned into our cultural DNA. We avoid war not because we can't wage it, but because we're too good at it. Because we know that once we start, our own history suggests we might not be able to stop. The silence stretched on. Finally, Carthax spoke, his voice lacking its earlier bravado. I had not considered this perspective. The Vrexian intelligence assessments classified humanity as diplomatically aggressive but militarily passive. Perhaps we have been measuring the wrong variables. Perhaps the entire galactic community has, Zelthor said slowly. We've mistaken mercy for weakness, restraint for inability. Class dismissed. I need to reconsider several fundamental assumptions about human psychology. As the students filed out, chattering in hushed tones, Carthax approached Cora and Adam. I owe you both an apology. And perhaps the Vrexian Dominion owes humanity a degree of respect we have not previously shown. Adam extended his hand in the human gesture of reconciliation. No apology necessary. Just remember this. Humans avoid war the way a recovering addict avoids their drug of choice, not because we don't want it, but because we know exactly what it will cost us and everyone around us. Carthax touched his appendage to Adam's hand, his eye stalks drooping in what Cora recognized as his species' gesture of humility. A terrifying thought, but perhaps a necessary one for us to understand. As they walked out into the artificial sunlight of the Institute's campus, Cora glanced at Adam. You scared them. Good, Adam replied. Better scared and alive than ignorant and extinct. That's the lesson humanity learned the hard way. Maybe they can learn it the easy way, by watching us choose peace while knowing we could choose war. Cora nodded, understanding settling in her chest like a weight and a relief simultaneously. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or its warriors. It was its ability to remember, to feel the weight of history, and to choose differently. They avoided war not out of weakness, but out of the deepest, most hard-won wisdom. The knowledge that some victories aren't worth the cost of winning. And in that restraint, that terrible mercy born of terrible experience, lay humanity's true power, and its true gift to the galaxy.